We're live. It's Monday night, and welcome on in. It's Ollie Turner with Super Monday and a roundup of the World Cup qualifiers. I'm here in Astana in Kazakhstan, where at halftime it's Kazakhstan 0, Uzbekistan 0. Brian Keating, you're over in Quebec in Canada for their match against Mexico. How's it going, Brian?
Sur 1-0 pour les Canadiens.
0-0 as well. Nicky Walsh is over there in Castle Street, keeping a close eye on what's going on in the African division. And a great start for Namibia against Congo, Nick.
Correct. Scored a brilliant header there about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, this is total messing. For what's real is the Lotto draw. 7,600. Let's over to the Donnan household in Knockatee, who are probably the most watched family outside of the Kardashians for the last 72 hours online. So let's go over to David and Angela for the Lotto draw.
Okay, thanks, Ollie. 31. See that?
Yeah, it's near enough, 31 anyway.
Well, we're saying it's 31.
It's written in Ohm.
Yeah. 22.
22, there they are. I thought, Nicky, you'd have the little bingo calls for these now, but anyway, okay.
Yeah, well, we're not gone high tech yet. 1. Is it
1.
Kelly's eye.
1 isn't even funny, it's just 1.
Yeah.
And finally...
32.
Okay, so we always end up with 2 consecutive numbers, whatever that's it. So that theory works. So 1, 22, 31, 32. Let's see if they are the magic numbers for tonight's Lotto. Myself and Brian Keating just can't get off this StreamYard carry on, whatever it is. Brian, we just need to get away from the internet and social media. We are trending. We are the new Trump. And we're joined tonight by Nicky Walsh, a familiar face and voice to most of you from around Dunmore, wearing many different hats. Tonight we're going to recap, Nicky, on your soccer career and I suppose the fact that you're still involved in the club at underage. We have a couple of young up-and-coming stars that you're taking charge of now. So are you taking inspiration from Stephen Kenny? Are you going like 3-5-1-2-6-3, or what's your formation?
The fact that it's only 6 aside, I'd say we're playing a blanket 1-5 and just play for it all. If we get them on the break, Ali, we get them on the break. So I have to say, it's great to be involved in the with helping out with the young lads. So I've been helping out the last couple of years with they're now under 12s, and then my young fella then Harry is involved with he's now under 8s if they ever get back, but. Yeah, I suppose the next time he plays soccer, unless these restrictions improve, he'll be playing probably under 18s. So
and that's been optimistic, is it? You've been optimistic there.
It's great to be involved in the great bunch of lads, and you know the likes of Stephen Murphy is helping out there as well, and all the underage. Mark Gorham and the rest of the team there in the under 12s, and Noel Walsh and Noel Cassidy and all them. So it's great. There's great banter as well between the kids, and it's feeding on us because we're feeling young as well.
Yeah,
we'll talk a bit about I suppose the current crop again in a few minutes. But if you cast your minds back to when you were playing, Nicky, in my time, late 90s, early 90s, I mean, there was no underage worth talking about. It really was just the men's first team, whoever you could round up on a Sunday morning in whatever condition they were in, and get them out on the field.
Correct. I think, Ali, you're right. There was no underage soccer. I don't think I ever played underage soccer for Dunmore. It was always straight into the seniors. I think probably back in my time it was always Gaelic. You played all your underage Gaelic, and then you know the whole dual sport kicked in. Then if you were able to play a bit of both, you were available to play both. And then obviously rugby as well. I mean, you were playing rugby. No, I never played rugby. Wouldn't know how to throw a rugby ball. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to play both Gaelic and soccer for Dunmore, but not at underage level with the soccer, I'm afraid.
And one of those teams that we're going to talk about it was that team that went from 2002 through to 2004, where you had quite a bit of success. Again, the common denominator no more than the 90s was Glasheen. Bernie Higgins had joined them at that stage. Michael Burke-Styra was chairman and sponsor of the club. There was a solid foundation, but you mentioned there was quite a few GA lads playing the soccer as well, and when they could commit and be allowed to play both, especially during that successful period of the early part of the calendar year 04, as in your January, February, March, when things really got going. When Dunmore had their strongest team out, they were quite a formidable outfit.
We were, I have to say, Ali, we were blessed. We had a very, very strong team, but the team was built around a very, very strong squad. We had, no matter if anybody was unavailable due to other commitments like Gaelic, there was always an equal person available to come in and just slot into that position that was missing. And we were very, very lucky in that regard. You're right, Glasheen and Bernie Higgins, two Arsenal supporters. Now, they didn't kind of base themselves, or we didn't kind of base ourselves around the Arsenal tactics of playing tight at the back around that. Or the invincibles, as they were back then. We were never invincible. But Glasheen and Bernie, I have to say one thing about them, they always made sure that we played it extremely tight at the back. And we ended up winning quite a lot of matches, Ali, by counter-attack and winning games on the break, because we had very, very fast wingers and we were prolific up front. When we got the chances, we took them. I think Bonesy was on one wing. I think Darren Ward, was on another wing, and they were lightning fast. And whenever we sucked up the pressure, and we just literally caught them on the counter-attack on many an occasion. And it well for us.
And still some familiar names there, like Dennis Fallon was still rock solid at centre half in front of yourself. So, like, Dunmore didn't concede too many. The picture behind you there, Brian, and we'll get into the meat of it, Nicky, was the best run we had in the FAI Junior Cup that year was when we got to the last 32 and a clash against Boyle Celtic. And there's a squad photo. The Tuam Herald did a big spread on it, and they'd kind of followed on, I think, from a previous round where Michael Slattery got the headlines over one particular match where he had played with Dunmore McHale's in a relegation battle up at the pitch in senior, and then ran down the town to the Fairgreen to be part of a brilliant Dunmore Town win, which I think took us into that game.
Correct. That was against Dunlavin, which was another home match. We were actually very lucky. In the 6 matches we played in the FAI Cup in 03-04 season, we played 5 of them in the Fairgreen. The only match we played away was probably one of the furthest places you could go to, which out in Carrow. We played McDara. But you're right, we had when we got out of the Galway division, so we had beaten, I'm just looking here now, we bet Corofin United, we bet Gorch at home. Then as I said, we travelled out to McDara. Then we had the biggest win probably in the club's history at that stage was Salt Hill Devon came to the Fairgreen. We bet them on penalties. Team that were flying high in the Premier Division, and I think that kind of put us really on the radar. After beating them then on penalties, that was then when we got involved, as you said, in the national draw. So we could have been going to Waterford, or someone in Waterford coming up to us. We ended up getting a home draw. We were lucky against a team from Wicklow called Dunlavin. And you're right, I'll never forget the day. I think Dunmore played against St. Brendan's Ballygar.
That's right.
Yeah. Up in Port McHale, Michael Slattery togged out for Dunmore McHale's. I think by 3 or 4 points in the end, and then he had to run literally out the gate down to the Fairgreen where we were 1-1, I think, at the time, and about to head into extra time when he arrived fully togged, because he was still togged in McHale's gear. Had to change his socks obviously then to the black and white, and Glasheen put him on, and he ended up scoring the winning goal.
It was an amazing story, and it was the Roy the Rover stuff that got the back page of the Tuam Herald, and it was extraordinary, given that, like, the disappointment of the defeat to St. Brendan's was significant. I remember covering that game for the radio. Chris Donlan hit the post late on, whereas if that had gone in for a goal, Dunmore would have stayed senior. As it turned out, they were relegated and bounced back again within 6 months by winning the intermediate the following summer. But to run down the field in that state after playing a full GA match and go on, and it was an extraordinary thing. And there was that kind of spirit. So then came the build-up to Boyle Celtic, who were a serious national team, and they got to the semi-finals only a couple of years after this of the FEI Junior as well. Have you any memories of that game?
I remember it was the build up to it. I remember the fair green was roped off. There was publicity. I think the late Mal recorded it. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was up on the top of the hill recording it. The only thing I could say about that game was it was a pity. Of the 5 previous matches that we had played really, really well. We didn't turn up on the day. We were beaten by a team that were there for the taking if we'd actually turned up and played. And it was just unfortunately one of those days we lost 1-0 at home. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Boyle went on, and I think they got to the last. Did they get the last 8? I think they won the next match after that, and I think they were beaten in the quarterfinals. But Ollie, you were right. About 2 years after that, Boyle, they ended up getting, I think, to the semi-finals of it.
Yeah, it was such an occasion, because I'd say it was probably the only time that I can remember where there was a gate taken at the Fair Green as well, going into a match. I think those at the top end felt, here's a chance, lads, to milk it and make a couple of bob. So, and I think I could be wrong, but this is even before David Donlan was involved in the club. Like, somebody else thought of making money, which is incredible. But yeah, roped off, huge crowd, a couple of hundred people there, match videoed. I know that because I did the commentary beside Michael Layden up on the mound, commentating on that game. Brian Higgins came close with a pile driver. That was probably as close as we got. It was always going to be a 1-0 KG game, but still, to think that we were getting such coverage was mighty. But that wasn't the only success story because there actually was silverware, Nicky, a couple of years prior to that. And we talked about the great win that we had back in the mid-90s in Thailand. But of course, there was a cup came to Dunmore Town in 2002 as well.
Correct, yeah. So we won the Lillis Cup, the Jack Lillis Cup in 2002, which was kind of the first cup that we had won with this particular squad under Glasheen and Burnley. And this Jack Lillis Cup was a cup that was for clubs that weren't in the Premier Division. So you had your first division teams, and then you had all your Division 2 teams. Now, Dunmore at the time, we were a Division team. I think we were Division 2B, so we were actually probably in the bottom of the group teams, and we ended up winning it, and deservedly win it. I think we bet our Ladies Boys Club, I think was it, in the final of that. As you can see the photograph there behind Brian, the final must have been at home again. Obviously, we've got someone inside job that every match we play. Yeah, it was the first of, I think, 3 cups we ended up winning, I think, under that management. We won also the Divisional Cup, the Division 2 Divisional Cup. We won as well under Glasheen and Burnley, and we won the Promotion Cup as well, because we went from Division 2B up to Division 2A as well under them. And it was like, if we go back to the FAI Cup for a second, I mean, the following year, Ollie, after having that fantastic run, we were drawn against Athenry, who were becoming a very, very strong Premier Division side, and we ended up drawn away to them in the FAI Cup in 2004-2005 season, and we ended up beating them on their home patch 1-0.
Yeah, was that 2005, Nicky? Was it?
That was
when you beat Athenry.
Towards the end of 2004, I'd say.
Yeah, because that Athenry team 2 years later, in 2006, they got to the FAI Cup final, and they were beaten with just gone into injury time. They conceded at the end of extra time. It was going to a shootout. A minute left, and poor old Adrian Coron and whatever he was thinking about. He fluffed a ball that came into him, and the sub that had just come on had to tap in, and the game was over. Athenry were easily the better team on the day, but it was the crowd that Westport bet the year before, Waterford Crystal. But that's how close. I mean, you bet that team 2 years before, and that was a very, very good. That Athenry team in the semi-final went down and played Castlebar Celtic, and they beat them 3-0 in Castlebar. And Castlebar were in the Senior Irish League at the time, and the week before Castlebar bet Shamrock Rovers selection that were in the same division as them. They bet them 6-0 in Castlebar, and they were so cocky on the day, but Athenry just gave them a lesson, and I expected them to go on and win it. And to think that 2 years previous to that, you nailed them. And was that in Athenry or in Dunmore, Nicky?
That was in Athenry.
You beat them in their own,
yeah. At home, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just goes to show that, whilst we were in a lowly division, with the respects, Division 2, we were well able to actually put it up against the guys above us. I think we were being well watched. People did not want to be drawn against us, put it like that.
Yeah. But you were saying to me earlier on that you had cover for every position on the team, which was the panel that you had that mattered, was it really?
I think as well as that, I mean, there was so many utility players that could have played anywhere. For example, like my cover, Robbie Byrne, was used as a striker in many a game. Because, if we were chasing a game, we were 1-0 down, Robbie, with his physical strength, was put up. We played route one, and we kicked the ball long, kick it off.
Yeah.
And bang, and we mentioned Michael Slattery, Dennis Fallon. They were both centre backs, but also could have played in midfield if Liam Quinn or the great Liam Quinn or Brian Higgins or Brian Keane got injured. There was always great cover there if somebody did sadly get injured or get hard.
I see a comment in there from Michael Tully, Mick Tully. He says, "Hi Nicky, you are one of the best goalkeepers ever for Dunmore Town." Do I see the head getting a little bit swollen up there now?
Well,
but make all
definitely top 5.
Come on.
Finally, before you came on, I said, if you go in line of all goalkeepers that have come on the show so far, I'm in the top. If you're going down in order.
You're definitely in the top 5. Right.
Jim Renton is still number 1, and that's it. He won't be taken away.
Yeah. And there was another comment in prior to that. I think he was alluding, John Kilgariff. If you're in the background there, Dave, John Kilgariff.
Yeah.
Hey, Nicky, no Trump, I think, because you mentioned Mr. Trump. Apologies to all you supporters out there, Mr. Trump.
It might be more to do as well with the fact that we're not trumping any cards this weather, Nicky, because the card game that you've been involved in has been very good to Dunmore Town over the years. I know, Brian, you wanted to give mention to that as well, the Monday night card game.
Yes, the Monday night card game. I have to say that Nicky and his compatriot there, William Cairns, they've been very good to us, and they've been very good to most clubs around the town and societies. That set of jerseys that you see there, the Dunmore card game, community card game, you're talking about €600 or €700 to get a right set of jerseys, and all the money they make from the cards. You'll explain the process that you go through, Nicky, but I mean, it's been very beneficial to us in Dunmore Town, and while we have you on here, and you and for Nicky as well, to thank you for your sponsorship to us throughout the years. It's very much appreciated.
We were only delighted, Brian, to help out. I mean, we were what? I think when we were pulled out of the town hall around this time last year when COVID arrived. We were just about to finish our 15th season of running the card game. Like Dave and Angela and yourselves every Monday night, committed to doing this particular show. I was up in the town hall around this time, sorting out running the card game, etc. But in relation to sponsorships, we were only delighted to help out the different organisations around the town, whether they be voluntary, different organisations that needed funding, or the sporting groups like soccer club. We also helped the rugby and the GA where we could. And in the last couple of seasons of the card game, because it got a little bit time consuming for me personally, we got the help of different volunteers. So the likes of Angela, who is checking the results right now of the Lotto, Angela and Marie Nicklin would have helped out on every third night. So we had 3 different groups that benefited basically from the card game, and they helped out, as I said, every third night. So they did about maybe 7 or 8 nights of the winter up there in the town hall, and they were doing it, I think, on behalf of the Dunmore Community Sports Group and the community games, I think, as well. weren't directly going to this to the soccer club, but in the past we did make financial contributions towards the soccer club, whether it be for jerseys, or whether it be for footballs and equipment.
Yeah.
I think when William Kearns and I spoke about all this sponsorship, we were very much homing in at the underage factor, because we just thought that's who would benefit most.
Well, just in the background there, that's an it's an under 16 Dunmore town team wearing the jerseys that you sponsored. They won a divisional cup in 2017, and we were very. I think they were made available the jerseys for the final, and it was great to get your sponsorship for it. There's a few more comments here. There's one from Fiacre Manhire. Fiacre says Shane Gagan is up there. Big Shane. We were talking about Shane before we went on there. Shane is definitely the tallest keeper that ever played for Dunmore. Right. Yeah, he's definitely. And there's another one from Jim Reddington. Ollie, you read that one there.
Yeah, I suppose this is factually true. There was some great players in the early noughties, but they couldn't drink as well as the first squad. And I think that's fair to say. The standard of drinking and then playing within a matter of hours of leaving PJs was second to none in that kind of 79 to 83 period. They were legendary figures, and they in our eyes were the gods, and we never could quite get to that level.
And we still can't, Ollie.
We're not going to at this stage. Before you go, Nicky, just a quick word for those of us of another sporting disposition. There's a lot of whispers about whether golf will get back or not next Monday. We certainly hope they will, and if that is the case, there might be some light at the end of the tunnel for some of our underage teams in all sports to be back playing as well next week. I think we all need a bit of sport, don't we?
Absolutely. I mean, I think my own personal thoughts on golf being closed throughout COVID. Please God, they'll see some sense and open the golf courses around the country and let people get out and get some welcome exercise. I mean, the irony is you can actually walk the Domain golf course up here, but you cannot carry a golf club because it's highly dangerous, apparently.
Highly dangerous, yeah.
COVID. Yeah. So please God, Ollie, we'll to the fairways. And everybody, I'm sure, right across the country will be extremely responsible and keep social distancing as we did last year. And please God, we'll be back, as I said, next at approximately 5 to 7.
So while you're mentioning the golf, while you're mentioning the golf there, Nicky, just another occasion and another of sponsorship and helping us out. When we did 3 years in a row, we did our golfing tournament that Ali and yourself more or less, and there were a few more people from the golf club organised on behalf of the soccer club for 2 years, and the third year it was for the community sports group, in which we raised funds so that we could draw down the money for some of the work that has started in the Fairgreen at the moment. And we're very grateful to the golf club for making the facility available. It was great 3 years of getting involved in the golfing setup. And I think as a result, a lot of new golfers started to play golf in the club as a result of the format you had that, Ollie. I've kind of forgotten what you did. It was two players and two non-players. We got non-golfers as involved as well. So the trick here was getting one or two really good golfers, and then they were allocated the non-golfers. So they had no say as to whether they got 2 kids or 2 adults that were just complete and utter beginners, and I mean never held a club in their lives, and that's what made it a kind of a very even tournament. There was no packed teams coming in. So
no, there was nobody coming out saying, "Oh, I swear to God, I never played golf," and then you see them hitting a shot and say, "Yeah, who are you kidding?" They played minor hurling for Galway.
I remember the prizes were fantastic, Ollie. I mean, the golfers got great trips away, whilst the actual beginners, and I use the word beginners loosely, but like you are as well, would have got fantastic trips to, I think, Ireland soccer matches and rugby matches or whatever. Where you could get whatever tickets. Yeah, I
remember the first year was the 2 golfers got to go to the Belfry over in Birmingham, And the two non-golfers, because they were into soccer, got to go to the Nou Camp in Barcelona. So that was a savage first prize. We copped on then after that. So the second year round then, there was 2 green fees for Ballyhonus and 2 tickets to see the Republic of Ireland against Iceland in a friendly in Terryland in November.
I see there's another comment here off from the Right Honourable Porrick Waters. Dave, will you put up that comment there for Ali?
Fair play to you, lads. Kept a lot in Dunmore going with sponsorship over the years. Thanks, Porrick. Which reminds me nicely that there will be a request to Cara Boyle out there in Ballinrobe. You should probably have that letter by tomorrow, Porrick, so thanks a million for reminding me on that. While you did mention it there, Brian, as well, I know we will have an update on the Community Sports Group Facebook page by the end of next week with the works that are going on there for the walk, because well, everybody here is out walking. Brian, you do the bog regularly. Nicky, you're up and down around the golf course like myself. So we will have an opportunity for people to be able to walk safely the environs of the Fairgreen in the coming weeks, because our walkway will be finished. The area will be lit as well, and it'll be a lovely walk, the guts of a kilometre around the environs. So even if you're dropping off kids playing, you don't have to leave. You'll be able to go for a walk, and it'll be safe, it'll be well lit, and that walk will be the full circumference, and it'll be kitted out. It'll be a proper surface that will be of use as well to community games as regards sports days, and it will make for a really cool facility up there when it's finished, and the standard of workmanship I've seen will be top class. So we'll keep you posted on that. Keep an eye out. But that's pretty much it for tonight, Blair. Maybe a quick update on the Lotto. Nicky, quick word.
Yeah, it's terrible when you start to mention names and then immediately you forgot one. But I did mention a few of the guys that actually help with underage soccer, and it would be remiss of me not to mention Peter Reddington, because Peter has been. He's had a huge involvement at underage soccer. I apologise, I should have mentioned him earlier on. I just thought about it
but in fairness, Peter isn't a walker, he's a runner. So that's a different level. I think it's only right that you gave him his own separate mention, because he's at a different level of pace altogether. Pete's a good lad, so well done.
Hugely influential to all of the underage, and please God, he'll stay with it as well over the years to come.
I will, of course, and let's hope we'll get you out on the pitches before too long, and ideally next week. Let's go back to the Donlands and see if we've any results from the Lotto as we check in with David and Angela.
We don't really need to announce this, Ali. It's the same result as every week. There's no match 3 and no jackpot win.
Look at that. Isn't that a picture of happiness? Look at the two of them. Look at that.
That's
How can he keep a straight face?
We can record this every week.
The soccer equivalent of a 0-0 draw in the Lotto again.
No Luxembourg.
You were talking about keeping it tight, Nicky. This guy's keeping it proper tight. In that Lotto draw, he's playing 5 at the back. There's no doubt about it. Nicky, again, thanks very much for coming on as our special guest. Thanks to David and Angela, and to Brian as ever for clicking all the buttons that make this happen. And with the help of God, we'll talk to you next Monday night with a bit better news, and maybe myself and Nicky might be coming to you live from a little green patch up on the Domain while we're hitting small balls.
Get down to Corabell, maybe Vinnie Mullen might actually come on as the goalkeeper. You never know.
He's probably the last one left to come on, is he?
Yes, he will be. It'll be 7-7 next week, so Dave, is that right? 7,007?
Yeah, 7-7, yeah.
7-7 next week. Okay, so thanks everybody for looking in and play the Lotto.
Good night, folks.
You might win.